Hi, this is my very first ever little vlog, so you'll have to bear with me. Yesterday, Saturday the 19th of February 2022, I took a trip to Mallory Park in very cold conditions, wind and rain, to undertake my ACU licence. I wanted to put a little video together as to what actually happened on the day, the process involved in getting one, and also how it feels to be doing it as a woman. So 18 months ago, I first touched a motorbike. Prior to that, I'd always been too afraid to. And I had this harebrained idea that, well, I could buy one, a little 125, commute to work on it, and it would cost me much, much less than running a second car. 4 days later, my husband and I went out and we bought a little 125. It must have been about 4 days before I would even sit on it because I was so petrified and wondered, what the hell have I done? All these months later, I now ride a Honda CBR 600 to work every day and back, and I have now got my full ACU licence, which will allow me to race. Prior to this, I had some experience as a passenger on a mini F1 sidecar, which you can see some videos of if you want to on our YouTube channel. So this little video is really aimed at people who are applying for their first ever ACU licence. So first of all, what is an ACU licence? So it's the Auto Cycle Union. This licence allows you to take part in different races, but also allows you to take part in track days. Many tracks nowadays you require an ACU licence to go and take part in, even if you're not competing. It comes in two parts. So there is your classroom element, which due to COVID has now happened on Teams online, and then there is your track element. There are different types of ACU licence that you can get. When you first apply for your licence, you'll be sent some paperwork like this, and then you have these boxes here with all the different licence types. There are so many, it was quite confusing. One of the things that I wanted to be able to do was to passenger on a full-size sidecar as well. So I spoke to the lady who was running our day, who was Tony at No Limits Racing, and she advised me on which license type category I needed to do. So I went for a novice passenger license, but also I would have been going for my novice rider. However, because I'm over 18, just by 1 or 2 years, and because I hold a full motorbike class A license, I am able to apply for an intermediate novice license. That was something I didn't understand before, so hopefully that information will help some other people out there. The other element on here that I was unsure about was the orange vest. Originally I thought we had to pay for it, but we were advised that if you're applying for any kind of novice licence, they will send you one out automatically, so you do not need to pay the extra £7 for the orange vest. You will be provided with one. You have to wear that orange vest for 10 races at a minimum of 3 different circuits over the season. After that, and as long as you've got signatures saying that you've done all those races, you will no longer need to wear your orange vest. The other element of applying for an ACU licence that I wasn't aware of before the process was that you need to go and have an eye test done. Very basic. We went to our local opticians for it. I was having a full eye test done at the time. However, you can go in and just ask them to do the basic requirements for them to sign the form off. But this is something you need to have done in order to be able to apply for your ACU licence. So we'll talk about the different parts of the actual licence itself and how you get it. So the classroom element, as I've already mentioned, that has now moved to online due to COVID. This actually was a bit easier for me. I've got 2 young children at home. It saved having to travel somewhere to go and sit in a classroom, and instead I could do it at home while getting the kids sorted, which was so much easier. I received an email link about 5 days before, and it just confirmed what time I needed to be logged on for. I was expecting it to be about 20 minutes, half an hour. It actually took us about an hour and a half in total, and that was with them whizzing through it. However, it's very, very interesting. It covered everything from booking your first race, what you need to wear, what standards does your bike need to be up to, all the different flags that you will cover, and lots more information, insurance, everything. I found it really useful to sit with a notebook during this session, and I took lots of notes as I went through. At the end of the session, we received an email link to a 20 questionnaire, and we had to complete that, and it was returned back to ACU, and as long as you pass that, then you would pass for your license. A lot of the information that you are told during the classroom element is then in that test again, so having written it down was so much easier because I could refer back to it. If you're in a classroom environment, you can still do the same. They did make it clear you'd be able to take notes, but it just did make it easier, particularly with the different flags. There are so many different flags, and some elements that I was quite surprised about as well. The second part of applying for the ACU license then is the track day. So I'm very fortunate in that I ride my motorbike every single day. My Betty, I love her very much, and I chose to use Betty to do my track day. Whilst I will never race Betty because I can't afford for something to happen to her and I will be racing on a 125, it made sense for me to take her. I know the bike, I know how she feels, I know when she needs to change gear, I know how she'll react to how I'm riding. So I could go out on the track already confident about the machine that I was on and not have to worry about that. I could focus on what else was happening. I was really, really nervous about doing this track day. I was conscious that I was probably going to be one of very, very few women, and that proved to be the case. In my group, there were only 2 women. However, one thing that I have really noticed in motorcycle paddocks is that the atmosphere towards women is very welcoming. They are very supportive, and riders, male and female alike, like to see any riders coming into the sport regardless of their gender. And I've certainly not experienced any attitudes towards me or sexism towards me for being a woman, only encouragement to continue my path to become a racer. So one thing that we weren't aware of at the start of the process when we booked the time slot was how early we would need to arrive. So as I mentioned at the start, I took my track part at Mallory Park. To access the paddock at Mallory Park, you do need to cross the track. Because the track is in use during the day, you can't just cross it whenever you want. You do have to wait for that session to finish. 2 days before the track day, we were advised to arrive there an hour and a quarter before our session began. So I was booked onto the 10 a.m. session. We got there at 8:45. This gave us plenty of time to get into the paddock, get set up, and work through the next parts. So one of the things we were advised for the track day is it said we needed to wear a one-piece suit. I do not have a one-piece suit that fits me at the minute, but after confirmation, I was able to wear a 2-piece zip-together leather suit. That was only okay for this element. They did specify that all races have to now be taken in a full one-piece leather suit. So that's something I will need to invest in for moving forward. There were other things that I needed to do to my bike in order to make it track worthy for the session. So there is a noise limit at Mallory Park of 102 decibels. My bike already has a baffle in it, so I didn't need to worry about having it noise tested. But if you thought your bike was noisy, you would need to get this done before you go on track. The group before mine, the 9 a.m. group, 2 riders in that group were pulled out because their bikes were too noisy. So they do check it. The other things that you need to be mindful of are having an ACU approved helmet. This is a little gold sticker on the back of your bike helmet. Other things that we had to be aware of were like taping up the indicators just in case you did come off so that they don't crack everywhere. We were also given a race number that goes on the front of your bike. So if your bike already has race numbers on it, you will need to remove them to put the ACU one on before you attend the meeting. Once we'd got there, we went and registered to say that we were here, and I was given a coloured bib, so mine was yellow. I was then told to return 15 minutes before my session started so that I could meet my instructor. One thing I wasn't aware of was actually how the day itself would run. So in my category, in my 10 a.m. slot, we were split into 3 different coloured groups, and each group had their own instructor. This really made me feel a lot calmer and made me feel a lot more at ease with it, because I knew the instructor would have the time to watch us all individually rather than having to watch a whole group in one go. There were 6 of us in our group in yellow vests, and the instructor just ran us through what was going to happen. Again, this turned out to be a little different to what I was expecting. We were given 2 full sessions on the track following our instructor. So as you'll see in the next video, we were lined up into 3 rows based on our vests. So in this video, you can see myself pulling up to join the other ducks in a row, as our instructor called it. We're in the yellow vests, and then any second now you'll be able to see the purple vest pulling into the right of us and the light blues pulling into the left of us. As you watch, you'll see our instructor come down the line to give us the next instruction for our next set of laps. He ensured that he spoke to each of us individually. There he is, just coming along the line now in the black leathers and helmet. As we went around the track, the instructor would wave us past him one at a time so that he could really focus on each individual rider. At one point, he did have to tell me to slow it down after he saw me losing a bit of control on the back wheel. This video clip shows the green flag start. So the green flag is usually used to start your warm-up laps. So we did start as a mass. Our instructors ensured that each of us were in our correct places on the grid before we were shown the green flag to begin our lap. We did 1 lap and then returned again to be placed on the grid again by our instructors. This time it's a red light start, but going off in waves per bib colour. So that's light blue have gone first. Then it was the lights were reset, and then it would be time for the yellow bibs to go. And then after the yellow bibs, it would be the turn of the purple bibs. There's me, whizzing past. Last, but who cares? Not there for speed, I'm there to get my licence. So again, 1 lap of the track, and then we were told to return back to the starting grid. This time it's a lights start, but as a mass start. So all 3 colour groups were starting at the same time. The red flag was shown. Once the track was ready, the man with the red flag would move off the track, and then you could go once the red lights went out. In the case of Darley Moor, the red lights are situated on the rear side of that bridge. Again, this time we only did half a lap of the track before we were red flagged and instructed to return to the paddock. And that's the end of the starting videos. So that's all my footage from yesterday and my thoughts on it. It was an amazing day. No Limits Racing were really welcoming, extremely helpful. I must have emailed Tony 100 times with questions, probably some of them quite silly, particularly in relation to my husband's ACU licence, as he held one many years ago. The whole day went really smoothly. It was freezing, it was very wet, but we found out at the end we passed, and that's what we went there to do. So now moving forward, we can get booked onto some races and begin to have some fun. If you've got any questions on the process itself, or things that I've experienced, or also, you know, if you want to chat about how you might feel as a female going into a very male-dominated world, please post below and I'll be sure to reply when I can. Thank you.